Hey, what's going on, everybody? How you doing? My name is Christopher J. If you are new here, please subscribe. If you like the content that you're hearing, please hit the thumbs up. And if you'd like to be notified of future content, please hit the bell for notifications. So, with that being said, you've seen the title of the video. You know what we're going to be discussing today. And before I start, I'm going to tell you I'm going to be fair. I'm going to be objective. I'm going to give you my honest opinion of what I've seen, from the videos, what I've read from the reports, with notes I've taken and everything too. So, um, first, I'm going to tell you, Daniel Prude was a 41-year-old black male. He was a resident of the Chicago area. So, and Mr. Prude actually came to Rochester, New York, to visit his brother Joe Prude on March 22nd, 2020. So, and in that time, when he arrived, his brother immediately noticed that Mr. Prude was had erratic behavior. It was reported that Mr. Prude was trying to, jump down the steps head first at the residence. So, um, you know, I think his brother did what any family member would do. They took him to the hospital. They had him do a emergency evaluation, or when I was working, it was called an emergency petition. They evaluated him and they released him hours after that. So he was back home within, I think, 5 or 6 hours, I believe they said. So they deemed that there was nothing wrong with him. And he got back to the house and he started acting, like he was previously. So, and this went on through the night. So, and I'm going to add just a little tidbit that I read. So, prior to Mr. Prude coming to the Rochester area, he was with his sister in Chicago, and his sister reported that Mr. Prude had been smoking cigarettes laced with PCP. So he was sent to his brother, I guess so his brother can deal with him. And I looked into that, and I wasn't able to see if that's the exact reason, but it kind of like reading what I was reading, it kind of pushes it towards that way. But anyway, he came back to the house on March 23rd, which technically everything started happening on 22nd and it went into the next day. So, but on March 23rd around 3 a.m., his brother Joe called the police on him because he was still displaying erratic behavior. So Mr. Prude left the residence, and from the time he left the residence to the time he got in the streets, he unclothed. He had taken everything off, so he was walking the streets. Um, there are reports that people have like Facebook recordings of him kind of running around. And people are people. They see somebody naked, of course they're gonna take their phone um, and start taping it. Especially March in Rochester, New York. It's probably how cold it is. So, but anyway, police were called. They responded. They located Mr. Prude. Mr. Prude was still displaying erratic behavior, but he did comply. He actually complied. He got on the ground. He was able to be cuffed without incident. So now I'm going to have to add though that Mr. Prude said that he had corona, and Mr. Prude had also been spitting at the officers. And in this time, in this day and age, with the corona going around, nobody wants to catch it, especially that way. So getting spit on. So they did what most police agencies in this country would do. They would put a spit hood on him so they don't contract anything, which they did. So they put that on him, and immediately Mr. Prude was complaining about it. Complaining, he was saying that he thought that they were trying to kill him and stuff. But they put that on him. He was still displaying, erratic behavior. He was, telling the officers that he wants their gun, give him his gun, and other things too. That the officers felt it was funny because in the video if you watch what I watched, they were laughing. So, and just let me tell you this, I was an officer for 20 years, and I'm guilty for that. I'm guilty. I've done that before. So, and there's other things that I've done that I want to explain in this video as well too. So, but I've done that. So, but anyway, subsequently, Mr. Prude was rolled onto his stomach and the officers applied weight on him. And this is where I'm going to talk about that I've been guilty as well. In my career, I have placed my knee on somebody's back. I have put my weight to hold somebody down. So what happened to Mr. Prude, that could easily have been me in my time of being a law enforcement officer. So that's why it's very difficult for me to kind of go through this and explain, from my side of this, and also, be sensitive to everybody else's side as well. So, but they put the weight on him, and shortly after that, he stopped breathing. He stopped breathing, and EMS arrived on the scene. They started to do CPR on him. I don't even think, from what I can see on the video, it didn't appear that he was responsive at all with anything. He had like some agonal breathing, something that you would. And agonal breathing is something that you would hear mostly like when you have somebody that's on drugs, specifically heroin, where they're breathing really bad. It almost sounds like it's snoring. So he had a little bit of that. So, EMS, they're tending to him. He's transported to the hospital, and a week later, he passes away. So I was watching a video, and I did see I see EMS, speaking with the police officers there on the scene, and they talked about excited delirium. And if you don't know what that is, look it up. It's a real thing. So he was suffering from that at the time. So I went and started doing a little bit of research about how he passed away actually, and the main cause is asphyxiation, and asphyxiation is going to be, he basically choked to death. So, but if you read further down, it says that excited delirium and PCP contribute to it as well. So, from hearing that and seeing what I saw, I think all things all together, it's pretty much three strikes and you're out. I mean, you have the PCP, you have the excited delirium, and then you have the bag over his head, which constricted his breathing. So, I think those all contributed it. My personal opinion of the situation is that I think that the officers, from watching the video, I think the officers did everything I think they did everything, like they were supposed to. They did everything by protocol. Um, Definitely done that. My issue is though, however, too, and this happened before the George Floyd situation. So like, I think more officers are going to be aware of like putting weight on people and just also thinking about stuff like things like excited delirium. So, but you know, the weight put on him, all that stuff contributed, everything did. So I'm not going to consider that a murder at all. I don't think those officers intended to kill him. I think they did what they always do, and what I've always done as a law enforcement officer. When um, you have somebody, in that situation. So, um, I'm gonna say this too, like all mental health is a really serious business. Like it's something that everybody needs to start reading up on. Everybody start learning about it and stuff. You have all types of situations that you deal with if you're a law enforcement officer. You're going to deal with those psychotic people. You're going to deal with people with Asperger's. You're going to deal with all kind of situations that we aren't really qualified to handle. We have in the academy a little small area in the academy portion where it's condensed, where they talk about those things. And then, as we go along, we get some more training about it. But, we aren't doctors. We aren't psychologists. We are a jack of all trade. We do all kinds of different things. So it's very difficult to sometimes deal with those situations, especially when you have somebody on PCP and have those issues as well too. Those people are very strong. I mean, I've tried to actually like, restrain somebody on PCP, and as big as I am and as strong as I am, it was very difficult. It took three of us to do it. So you have to take those things into account. So my personal opinion on the situation is I don't think that it was a murder. I just think that all three of those components contributed to it. I think the officers did what they were supposed to do. It's unfortunate that Mr. Prude passed away. It's just, and this is going to, I hate to say this kind of stuff's going to continue to happen in this world. It's going to happen. I mean, you have so much room for human error. It's going to happen. For the most part, the officers that I've worked with, everybody just wants to go home at the end of the day. They don't want to hurt anybody out there. They just want to do their job and go home, just like people doing regular jobs. So, but this is very tough to discuss. It's very difficult. I think I'm gonna do another video on this because, I just watched this. I just watched the actual video 3 times. I watched it 3 times in a row, and I tried to get something out of it every time. And when I watch these videos, I take notes. I try to get something out of the videos every time. And my mind might change tomorrow. I might say, maybe he was murdered. I mean, I don't know. So, but from the first glance of it and watching the video 3 times and looking at it, I think the officers did what they're supposed to do. I mean, and I'm telling you, like everything they've done, I've done everything. Laughing, just being unprofessional. I mean, it happens when somebody says something funny. Sometimes you just can't control it and you just start busting out laughing, even under those conditions. But let me know what you guys think about this situation. Seriously, I mean, it's a tough situation. I don't, you know, I don't, there's going to be more stuff going on with this. I mean, it's very difficult for me to talk about. So, what do you guys think? Do you think he was murdered? Do you think there was a different way, officers can do things? And I'm sorry, like, I don't have a script or anything like that. I'm just kind of going off the top of my head and trying to make sense of this, make sense of what's going on in the world today. It's just something that, as these situations happen, officers are going to get better. They're going to learn from these things. So just, be patient, give them time. These matters will, get better. So, but anyway, I'm going to let you guys go. You guys take care. Peace.